Pay close attention to what I am about to show you. You already know what a narcissist looks like. Loud, arrogant, obviously selfish. But there is another type, one that looks nothing like that. This one is quiet, sensitive, sometimes even shy. They do not walk into a room demanding attention. They walk in looking like they need to be saved. And that is exactly what makes them the most dangerous type of all. The evidence has always been there. You just needed to know where to look. Most people picture a narcissist as someone obvious, someone who brags, someone who dominates, someone you can see coming from a mile away. But researchers have identified something far harder to detect. It is called covert narcissism. And unlike its louder counterpart, this one hides behind humility, behind sadness, behind a version of themselves carefully designed to make you feel sorry for them. This is where the real danger begins. Sign 1, they seem humble, but look closer. A covert narcissist does not brag about their achievements. Instead, they say things like, "I work so hard, but nobody ever notices. I always give everything and get nothing back. People just never appreciate me." This is not humility. This is what psychologists call passive entitlement. They believe they deserve admiration. They just collect it differently, through sympathy instead of applause, and you give it to them every single time. Sign 2. They are always the most wounded person in every story. Think about every conversation you have had with this person. When you share your pain, how long before it becomes about theirs? A covert narcissist does not compete with success. They compete with suffering. Their childhood was harder. Their heartbreak was deeper. Their struggle was worse. Research confirms this pattern. Covert narcissists use what psychologists call a victim narrative, not to heal, but to control. Because when you are focused on their pain, you stop paying attention to what they are doing. File that away. It becomes important later. Sign 3. They punish you without ever raising their voice. This is the one most people never see coming. A covert narcissist does not explode. They disappear. No argument, no explanation, just a sudden coldness that you feel in your body before you understand it in your mind. You said something that threatened their ego. Maybe you got a compliment they did not get. Maybe you drew a boundary. Maybe you simply had a good day. And now silence. Not the silence of someone who needs space. The silence of someone who wants you to suffer for it. Researchers call this covert aggression. It is punishment dressed as withdrawal. And it works, because you will do anything to bring the warmth back. Sign 4 hides in plain sight. Pay attention to how they respond to your success. A covert narcissist will smile. They will say the right words, but something is always slightly off. "Oh wow, that is great. I just hope it lasts." "You deserve it. I just wish things worked that way for me too." Psychologists call this passive aggression wrapped in a compliment. They cannot celebrate you, not genuinely, because your success is a reminder that their specialness is not as unique as they believe. So they dim your light just enough while making you feel ungrateful for noticing. Notice something. Every single sign is invisible unless you know exactly what you are looking for. That is the point. That is by design. Sign 5. They know they are doing it. This is the part that changes everything. Most people assume a covert narcissist must not be aware of their behavior. They seem too fragile, too sensitive, too wounded to be calculating. But research from Psychology Today found something that stops people cold. Covert narcissists often know they are narcissistic. Some will even say it out loud. "Yeah, I know I can be a lot. People always say I make everything about me." These statements sound like self-awareness. They are not. Self-awareness without accountability is just another tool for manipulation. They say it so you cannot say it. They admit it so you will excuse it. A normal person who recognizes harmful behavior tries to change it. A covert narcissist recognizes it and uses that recognition as a shield. That is the difference. And it is the one almost nobody talks about. Sign 6. They are impossible to criticize. With an overt narcissist, you know the reaction: anger, denial, attack. A covert narcissist reacts differently. You say something gentle, something fair, something you rehearsed for hours, and they crumble: tears, silence. I knew you thought I was a bad person. I always ruin everything. Now you are comforting the person you were trying to address. Your concern has been buried. Their wound has taken center stage. Psychologists describe this as hypersensitivity to criticism used as deflection. You cannot hold them accountable because every attempt collapses into their pain. And you leave the conversation feeling guilty for something they did. Sign 7. They make you feel responsible for their emotions. This is felt in the body before it is understood in the mind. You start watching what you say. You choose your words around their mood. You feel responsible for their happiness and blamed for their sadness. That is not love. That is a system they built, quietly, slowly, without ever raising their voice. Researchers describe this as emotional dependency engineering. They make themselves so fragile that you become their caretaker. And once you are in that role, leaving feels like abandonment. Setting a boundary feels like cruelty. Having needs of your own feels selfish. That is not a coincidence. That is the design. Sign 8. They appear to everyone else as the kindest person in the room. This is what confuses people most. Outside, they are generous, thoughtful, gentle. People love them. Inside the relationship, you are walking on eggshells. This gap between the public version and the private one is one of the clearest signs of covert narcissism, because their kindness is not unconditional. It is a performance, carefully maintained for an audience. Behind closed doors, the warmth disappears, and you are left wondering why nobody else sees what you see. You are not imagining it. You are just the only one they stopped performing for. The case is clear. You did not imagine it. You simply did not have the evidence yet. Now you do. The covert narcissist is dangerous not because they are loud, but because they are quiet enough to make you question yourself before you ever question them. You are not crazy. You are not too sensitive. You are not asking for too much. You are dealing with something most people never learn to name, and now you can name it. Save this. Share it with someone who needs it. They may not be ready to hear it from you, but they might be ready to hear it here. Subscribe to Mind Unmasked. We unmask what others hide every single week. I will see you in the next one.